Hey guys, welcome to issue 4 of my newsletter. Let's get right to it. I had a training question. How do I control the chest? A lot of people, when they do chest work, they feel a lot of shoulders, feel a lot of triceps, not so much chest. So my suggestion is the first thing is to know what the chest does, which is primary function is to draw the arm across. So if you take your arm out here and you put your hand here and you just draw your arm across, you'll feel your chest contract. So the two basic motions that the chest does is a fly and a press. Those are basically the two motions. So the key again to feel the chest fire is perhaps lower the weight, and you can start with a fly perhaps with less weight, so you pre-fatigue the chest and then go to press, so that by the time you get to the press you'll be fatigued enough there'll be blood in the chest. A lot of times it's just too much weight on the bar. The ego does not belong in the gym. I mean, unless you're a power lifter, which most of us are not. Most of us do bodybuilding, which is basically, again, maximal muscle and minimal fat. So that would be that as far as the chest goes. Number two, a lot of people always say I don't need to do legs. I do cardio, I do cycling, my legs are built up. But the key to do is important to do legs because you want to have a symmetrical look. The physique, whether male or female, should flow. Nothing should stick out. You should look at somebody's body and the eye should go from the shoulders, to the chest, down to the abdomen and the thighs, and everything flare. So you want a symmetrical physique. It's also important to do legs simply because they're the biggest muscles of the body. When you do them properly, you're burning the most calories, so it's actually going to enhance the speed of your metabolism. So it's very important to do legs. I do cardio 5 days a week, sometimes 6, and I do legs every single week because it's important for my symmetry and also to keep fat burning everywhere and to keep lean. Number 3, thoughts on drinking juice. What I tell people on juice is basically you would never eat 10 apples, so therefore you could drink 10 apples rather easily, but you really wouldn't want to do that because it's so much sugar. So if you have to drink juice, the best time is, when do you think? Most people think breakfast or morning or something like that. Post-workout is when your body can utilize that sugar. So optimally, after your workout, if you had whey protein, which is pre-digesting, and sugar in the form of juice. Some people use gummy bears, actually, some things like that. Regular Coke, provided you're not diabetic. These will shuttle the protein into the muscles where you need it to be repaired. So that's really the only time for juice. I try to avoid juice simply because it's pure sugar, and when one is trying to get lean, one wants to not avoid or eliminate, but just lessen sugar as much as possible. And number 4, the role of nuts. Nuts are a good source of fat. The problem is most people roast them or have them roasted and salted, and they have too much. But if you have a small handful of raw nuts, for example, I have 2 shakes a day and 3 whole meals for a total of 5. 2 of those meals with the shakes, I actually have about 12 to 14 raw almonds because it helps keep me satiated, it slows digestion, and it's very important. So those are good sources of fat. You just don't want to overdo it. I say definitely have nuts, at least 1 serving a day. Raw and unsalted is totally not only fine, but healthy and warranted. Because if you have nuts with a meal early in the day, you're less likely to cheat on your diet later in the day. You're satiated prior. And lastly for today, people still seem to be concerned with carbs and confused. Basically, of the protein, fats, and carbs, the 3 macronutrients of the body, any excess calories can and will be stored as body fat. But the body has a harder time processing excess protein than it does as carbs, because protein is what the muscle is made out of. And carbs is really just energy. It just lets us get from A to B. So if you take in excess carbs, especially in the point of high glycemic or high sugar carbs, they will readily convert to body fat much more faster and expedient than even fat, and certainly more than protein. So you want to have your carbs with meals. I don't believe in after a certain hour of the day not having carbs, because I know from experience if I don't have carbs at night, i.e. complex carbs in the form of brown rice or beans or quinoa or yams or oatmeal or something like that, I'll be hungry later. So I always have carbs with dinner, and it's just a matter of the kind. You want to have a low glycemic, slow burning carb. The only time, as I said earlier, for fast burning, high glycemic carb is really post-workout. Hope that answers some of your questions. See you next week. And again, holliswashere.com, liebman.hollis@gmail.com. Any of your questions, thank you very much.